fresh baked bread. For the holidays, you guys are making some special treats, your favorite dishes. Maybe you'd like to try some fresh baked bread.
It's that time when everybody...
I use lily white flour, and on the back there is a recipe there, but I alter the recipe just a bit, so I'll show you how I did it. All right.
Look at us now, walking around in the snow. We do it in a very Christmas way. Soon there will be sleigh bells and Santa Claus. It's the number one most magical time of the year. Mistletoe hanging everywhere, waiting.
Okay, so we're gonna start with half a cup of water and 2 tablespoons of yeast and a little bit of honey.
Side by side all night. I'll hold you.
So it's gonna be half a cup of warm water. So everything that you put in this bowl has to be warm, or it will stunt the growth of the yeast.
Now, walking around in the snow, we do it in a very Christmas way. Soon there will be sleigh bells and Santa Claus. It's the number one.
Once the yeast is added, this is a time-sensitive process. The yeast will start to activate. If your yeast doesn't fluff up, it could be too old and could have expired. Now the yeast needs something to eat, just a little something to get it started. So I'm just going to drizzle a little honey, just enough to give the yeast an appetizer. Now, we wait. Right now it looks a little watery with some bubbles, but in a few minutes it's gonna look fluffy on top, kind of creamy looking. That will let us know when the yeast is activated and ready. While that's activating, I'm gonna go ahead and measure up a 1.5 cups of milk. I'm gonna microwave it on high for about 1 minute. The shortening, I need 1/4 cup. You can use the side, the rim of the shortening to get a better measurement there. So that's ready. 1/2 cup of sugar. And I can already smell that yeast getting fluffy and activating. Keep in mind the Crisco does not have to melt. It's already soft enough to mix in, so it's not crucial that it's melted. 2 teaspoons of salt.
Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing.
Alright, so then we're going to add this warm milk mixture to the yeast mixture. But as soon as we do that, it's going to water down the yeast a little bit and start changing it. So we want to take a look at this and see. We've got a little bit of a film. It kind of looks like pudding now.
I got racks in my sack, curve my back, frozen.
As soon as I put this liquid in there, I want to go ahead and start adding my flour.
I'm the chosen.
So I have a dry measuring cup. I'm ready to measure out my flour.
Check my list twice. Most of y'all done. Sleigh bells ringing.
You guys ready for this? Here we go.
Favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing. Diamonds blinging. Carols singing. Favorite season.
In total, we're going to go between 6 and 6.5 cups of flour. The first 3 cups need to be added right away and can be added with a spoon. And the yeast is really using this time to flourish. Because as we start adding flour, it's gonna get harder and harder for the yeast to eat and grow. So we need to let it rest when we can. Okay, so that's why we add one cup of flour at a time. Now we're gonna add our eggs.
Need no French toast, no Ebenezer. Don't believe this. Y'all need Jesus. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said Saint Nick, but you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, in my bag.
I have 2 bowls. The second bowl is going to be used whenever we're ready to set it for rising. So this is number 4. Now this is where it's going to get a little harder to stir. So it's starting to look like a dough now. And it's getting a little harder to work with. And it's starting to be stringy. It really needed, but it's too sticky right now to do that.
Last year I thought about how things can come around just like that if everyone is here.
We're just being really careful that we're not overwhelming the dough with flour. And I like to go around the edge of the bowl and not try to break it up too much. Just kind of fold it in.
We come together to celebrate. Yes, every time the snow is falling down and it is cold outside, we gather around the fireplace and no one cares about yesterday.
Okay, I'm going to start to get my hands in here. So for those with tender stomachs, you may want to skip past this part.
Words can't say, and I claim that Christmas is a magic day. Sometimes I tend to forget what glory this
And remember, your hands must be clean for this. Wash your hands thoroughly and do not touch your mouth. Remember, your hands are a kitchen tool right now. Okay, you can use gloves if you want, but I just prefer not to. The slower you add the flour, the better your dough will respond to you.
and just enjoy this moment of peace and love and happiness. We come to
So just kind of patting in, rolling. I'm not trying to tear it apart. I'm just kind of patting it.
and it is cold outside. We gather around the fireplace and no one cares about yesterday. My favorite holiday. It means so much more than words can say. And I claim that Christmas is
This is getting to be a nice consistency.
what glory this holiday represents. But it's fair to say that Christmas is a magic day.
Sometimes when the dough gets too saturated with flour, it becomes useless. It's this flaky material and it doesn't ever come back to life. It kind of dies. So if you get these little places where they flaked off, don't try to save them. And see, this is what they kind of look like flaked off.
Yes, every time the snow is falling down. And
Just gently add that flour. Do not overwhelm it.
gather around the fireplace and no one cares about yesterday. My favorite holiday. It means so much more than words can say. And I claim that Christmas is a magic day. Sometimes I tend to forget what glory this holiday represents. But it's fair to say that Christmas is a magic day.
What I'm looking for is a texture that bounces back when you press it, and it's almost there. You can see how it kind of bounces back like memory foam. We are looking for one solid mass. We're not trying to split it up too much. That's why we need it, and we don't try to tear it. Just let it be one mass. See, these pieces are too dry. They don't have the elasticity anymore. This is what happens to dough when you overwhelm it with the flour. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, so I'm punching it. It's coming back like memory foam. It's wet enough to be a little bit sticky, but mostly dry on the outside. So this is it. This is what we're looking for. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in this bowl. And I like this really tall bowl for it to rise in. But the most important thing is to get some oil in it. Now I put the oil in there, then I rub it around with my hand. Make sure the bowl is fully coated. All right, so I've got oil. Now this is important too. We want to place the ball in the oil and turn once to coat. If you don't feel like it's coated well enough, there's some dry places, you can take a little oil on your hand there and just pat it, and the oil keeps it from sticking to the bowl, and it also creates a protective layer around the dough. Once you have it in your bowl, you're gonna cover it with saran wrap and let it rise for 45 minutes. If you have to, we can always use some tape. You can also use the press and seal. The press and seal works without tape, but if you don't have that, you can just put a couple pieces of tape on there. Keep it kind of airtight because you need the gases inside there for it to work properly. And that's got to sit for 45 minutes. So I'm going to set this aside and make my other batch.
Building Frosty the Snowman until late outside. Oh, how I wish for the Christmases of old, when all was right and the candlelight would glow, where we used to play in the wintry wonderland, and we hear carol songs from Rudolph's marching band. Oh, oh, give me an open fire, some eggs.
So now we are getting ready to braid the bread. The bread has risen for about 45 minutes, a little more than that actually, maybe an hour. All right, so let's get started.
Give me some ribbons and a chimney for Santa's sake. No, it's not too late.
This batch will yield 24 to 30 rolls, and we're gonna do braided rolls today.
For the Christmases of old, where the snow would fall and the air was crisp and cool. Oh, how I wish for the Christmas.
So the instructions say to cut it into equal parts, and the easiest way I found to do that is by using a pizza cutter. So I've got this dough board that was made to be a checkerboard but not ever used. I'm just making an effort here to have equal parts. And I'm just kind of having fun with the dough board by using the squares. So I'm gonna take each one and I'm gonna stretch, roll, and then I'm gonna tie it. And you can pull one end around to the bottom if you want to, but it doesn't really matter. The braid will look around the same for each one.
In a wintry wonderland, and we hear carols.
I'm gonna make sure my pan is oiled before I put any of them on there.
And we hear carols sung from Rudolph's marching band.
Okay, I'm just gonna roll just like a snake, like Play-Doh, till I get about 8 inches long. Then I will tie it in a knot, and I'll take that top part and just fold it around to the bottom. And there we go. So I'm gonna do 12 on this pan. If you have a little oil on your hands, it coats the roll a little bit and smooths out that rough area. But you'll get the hang of it. Once you do 2 or 3, you'll kind of get the hang of what you want them to look like.
But now I got my eye set on you. Oh, I'm not gonna.
The braid is pretty, but it also allows any toppings that you have to seep down into the middle. So it's actually functional as well. I've got those done, and I'm going to set those aside and cover them with a towel, just a regular clean kitchen towel, and those are going to rise for 30 minutes. Now at this point, if you wanted to freeze your rolls and use them at a later date, you can do that, and at this juncture, once they're braided, they're going to go directly into the freezer, right on the cookie sheet, covered with a towel until they froze. Then you could pack them into a freezer bag. You can freeze them up to 2 weeks. So once you get them out, you're gonna let them thaw out for probably about an hour or an hour and a half. So what they'll do is they will double in size. So you're gonna let them thaw out for about an hour and a half and then follow through with your baking. Okay, next I'm going to set my oven to bake at 400 degrees. Actually, we can do 385. My oven bakes a little warm, so I'm going to do 385, but no more than 400 degrees. And these have about 10 minutes left to rise on them. This is the first batch. It is best to let them rise in a warm place, so I'm going to put them right on top of the oven as it's preheating. And that should help them warm up a little faster. While that's preheating and I'm waiting for my bread to rise, I'm gonna do up these dishes.
Just what to do. I'm trying to tell you in every way. Yeah, I'm trying to show you, but somehow feel I wanna have someone to hold. Walking through the forest. I'm trying to tell you in every way, but now I get done. I'm not going away and right around the mistletoe. I'm gonna let my feelings show. I'm trying to tell you.
So I put it in the microwave for just a second to get it liquid. And if you have a brush, it's best to brush this on, but I'm going to just put it on with a spoon.
Right around the mistletoe. I'm gonna let it show. I'm gonna let it show. I'm gonna let it show.
These pans actually don't sit side by side in my oven, so I have to do one on top and one on bottom. And then halfway through the baking process, I'll switch them.
Bells ringing in my ear, jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing just you and me. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, we're chasing snowflakes as they're falling down, and follow Rudolph all across the town. Later we meet under the mistletoe, while Santa's busy saying ho ho ho. We're feeling jolly, eating Christmas cake, and then we go skating on the frozen lake, saying hi to every friendly face. And later we warm
I want to wish you a happy holiday season, and I hope you enjoy your wonderful yeast dinner rolls. I hope they turn out perfectly. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great holiday. Bye-bye.